What's going on, guys? I want to say in this video, way too many of y'all need to mind y'all business. Man, I don't get it. This is insane, diabolical, craziness. You know, the reason why I brought up that situation with the guy yesterday, who impregnated an 18-year-old girl, and he's like 50. It wasn't because of like some ultimate weirdo on my channel said that I'm jealous. Like I'm gonna be jealous of a guy, smashing out, 18, 19-year-old hood rats, because of the fact all they gotta do is buy him a freaking a quarter weed, freaking give him like $40 cash, buy him a couple Black and Milds and a bottle, and you got him for a whole week. No, I don't care about that. I don't want that. The reason why I care though about the whole situation as a whole is the fact that he made another single mother. And yesterday on that live stream, I was trolling on a live stream with the guy that on TikTok. I'm just trolling because it's a bunch of dusty ninjas. And what I say about dusty ninjas is a bunch of dusty single mothers and a bunch of there wasn't really no dudes in sight though. It wasn't really no dudes. I gotta say that I was probably one of the only dudes. There's a whole panel of women just going crazy. Now, the crazy thing about it is I have no hate, no nothing animosity with these women. But I had to, like ask the questions, the elephant in the room. I'm like, this woman who was, she ran away from home at like 13. She was trafficked, if y'all get the point. She was, pretty much given like stuff to protect her mind. Her mind wasn't there and she was like getting exploited. And, I had to sit there and say to myself, all you guys that are acting like you care, why haven't one of you guys offered her a place to live? You got so much to say. With this old guy, I don't really care the fact that he, is doing what he's doing, mainly because of the fact, this would have been another person struggling, on social programs down bad, but he put her in a better situation. But now I see it's kind of bad because, he is all over the place. He's like just a mess. Now, with that said, I don't really care about their situation. It's just something to talk about. Now, I am aware that I'm not going to change anything. I'm not going to fix anything. Nothing's going to stop happening because I care about the situation. So you would never catch me on that comment section fighting, calling him despicable, doing this and that like all the women are. Y'all go look it up. Joey Mercer, go look it up. He has all of the freaking dusty hood rats who are in worse situations than the girl that he's messing around with. I thought they were married, but I guess not. But they're in worse situations. They're single mothers, got pregnant by dusty dudes with no money, no way of helping, no way of, I thought I was about to run over that woman right there. She come out of nowhere. No way of helping their kid's situation, no way of doing anything. That's pretty much what these women are dealing with. And, I'm like in a chat, in a comment section on TikTok, trolling. I'm like, this panel is full of, or this live is full of single mothers. And I'm like, I'd rather this woman go back to her husband, she's 19, pregnant. I'd rather be with her husband because at least that's some, she's like 9 months or 6 months pregnant, about to pop. And these women are happy at a point that she left the husband to be a miserable single mother. And the fact that she's getting beat down by a goon right now. How is that gonna help? That goon ain't taking care of little Ray Ray that's about to be born. No, he's not. He's just piping her down because she's a popular, rat in Youngstown because of the drama and nastiness. It's like, this is the culture. This is the black culture. Now, of course, this ain't all. I just saw a woman, not a woman, but she was a kid back in the day with me. I was in high school. We were both like 15, and I was shy in high school, 16 maybe. And I remember we used to pass notes to each other, and I passed notes to her. But it didn't go nowhere, of course, after high school. That year after, I never talked to her again. But now she's a lawyer, and she married a guy who's, looks like it works out. He looks like a strong black man, good black man. And I'm happy to have seen that unity, unity, whatever you're going to call it, with them too. I love black excellence. I love seeing that. I like seeing white excellence. I like seeing the excellence of all groups of people. But I like seeing black excellence. So with that said, seeing that woman that I used to, talk to, whatever, back in the day. Not really talk to, but we were just cool. I like seeing that. Now with that said, now she's pretty much married, had a beautiful wedding. She's successful. You gotta understand, guys, I don't like nasty culture of anything, but especially black culture, because I have people that are engaged and involved not knowingly in that. They don't know any better. That's why I go so hard on it. Now, let's get into something with this whole sports betting and gambling and blah, blah, blah. You do realize that majority of black folks, we might gamble, we might, but sports betting ain't a black folk thing. They do parlays. And in parlays, you don't make no money. So you gotta understand, I'm doing something that majority of us, we don't really do. If that makes sense. We don't really do. Now with that said, is what I'm doing okay? For me, yes, because it's affording me an opportunity to, rock with my son, see him daily basis. I'm about to go see my daughter. She's in Myrtle Beach on vacation with her family and, grandmother on her mom's side, and I'm gonna go visit. But that affords me that. Now, when I say minding y'all business, y'all gotta stop minding everybody's business. Focus on yours. When are you guys going to focus on your own business? Because your business is bad. Because if your business was good, you wouldn't be worried about me or anybody else. Now, with this guy, me trolling in the chat, I was just trolling. I just wanted that entertainment. So I see why people troll. It's funny. It's funny. It's entertaining. I'm like, it's just like this reek of single motherhood. I said, how many of y'all are married? Put a hand up. Nobody put a hand up. You got this one chick who was like 21 years old, and she said, "Oh, I'm married, and my husband is my baby daddy." And I'm like, tell me you're a single mother without telling me. So you're married, but you don't have enough common sense to call him your husband. You're gonna call him your baby daddy? Like, why not my husband, and he's the father of my kids? Why call your husband a baby daddy? So ignorant, And she's 21, knowing good and well she ain't married. None of these women married. And it's like, you see in our culture, we have the most, long-term girlfriends in our community. To have a panel with like the max amount of people, 8 people I think could be on there. And every single one of them were bitter single mothers. Bitter single mothers. And you had this one white woman who literally was up there talking about she was literally talking about what'd she say again? She said, I don't date white men, I only date black men. And I'm thinking to myself, bruh, you only date black men. You don't date white men. I'm like, for all the black men, we don't want you. Because she was a stereotypical white woman. I got like the cakey makeup. You could tell she's like a trick, like she tricks, like she does the work to get paid, and then she also probably pimps out women. She's just dusty and nasty. And then she tried to say, because everybody's looking for the chick that's like just MIA, she's with some supposedly dusty ninja having the best time of her life. Everybody's like, call the woman. Since the woman told you, call her. And she's calling, but the woman's not answering. I don't know. It's just a mess. But this is the point of me saying all this. Can y'all mind your business? Understand y'all ain't got a clue about nothing. Just chill, relax. Okay? Sports betting for me is not the same as gambling, because you realize with gamble, you are literally taking a risk that can go either way. Sports betting, there's stats that put the odds in your favor. Of course, it's still a risk, but there's a way of doing it that takes away all risk. Of course, you only make a certain amount with that risk being eliminated, which is why part of my sports betting is risk. But I'm not losing because I'm making the profit with no risk that I then use to make risky bets. because anything that isn't guaranteed is a risk. So you do the math on that. If I get $600 of free money every week by risking $1,200, I get $600 for free, but I don't lose $1,200 and I get $600, and I take that $600 and I roll that into bets. That means that if I do it right, I end up with not only $600, but I end up with another $600 to $1,000, which is $1,600 a week. That's where we're at right now, guys, with the betting. Now, that video that was perpetrated or repurposed when I said, hey, I have a gambling problem. Yes, guys, I have a gambling problem. When it comes to craps, slot machines, everything like that, I will lose it all. I will give away everything. I would sell my soul to do that, which is why you don't see me in casinos. Last time I was in a casino when I went to Vegas, before I got to my hotel room, I blew through like $600. I mean, I was up like $7,500 from sports betting. You remember in September, I was up $7,500, but I blew through $600 of that money in like an hour. I was itching my neck. That's that. But the $7,500 I made from sports betting, and I started with like a couple $100 because it was the start of college football. So the whole point of what I'm trying to say is, guys, we're good. Don't worry, we're good. But with that said, I'm gonna do a live. I'm gonna answer your questions in a few. Look out for that. I'm out, guys. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Peace.